last video, I showed you how to set yourself up for success by batch cooking single ingredients. Today's been a very busy day, so I grabbed those same ingredients out of my refrigerator so we can build 3 very distinct and delicious Nourish bowls. The 3 Nourish bowls we're gonna make are a Mexican-inspired Fiesta bowl, a savory Asian-inspired Nourish bowl, and finally a Mediterranean-inspired Nourish bowl. We're gonna be following 5 simple steps. The first step is filling your bowl with greens. The second is adding in your protein. Third is adding in your carbohydrate. Fourth is adding color with a variety of vegetables. And then finally, kicking up the flavor with some sauces and dressing. So let's get into it. Step 1, I mentioned, is filling our bowl with dark green leafy vegetables. You can use kale like I'm using today, or you can use things like spinach, arugula, any green that you enjoy, even cooked broccoli. All of these greens are rich in vitamins A, C, and K, and have minerals that are really important for bone health, like calcium and magnesium. So we want to prepare the kale so it's easy to chew and super flavorful. Hold from the bottom and pull up to remove the stem. Then I'm gonna chop my kale into small bite-sized pieces and add it into my bowl. In order to make this more chewable and palatable, we're going to massage it with some citrus. Not only does the citrus help do that, but adding vitamin C here helps us absorb the iron that's in our dark green leafy vegetables. Half a lemon should be fine here, and then I'm gonna get in there and massage with my hands. Once you're done with that, we're gonna take a nice big handful and add it to each of our bowls. Adding this to the bottom makes it look vibrant and full. So when I look at my dish, I feel excited because of the colors and the volume of food that I'm about to eat. Next up, we're going to add in our protein. About 4 ounces of chicken for our Mexican-inspired Fiesta bowl. If you want to use chicken for each of these bowls, you can, but I wanted to show you how to add variety with things that you might already have on hand. So I'm just gonna add that to the top. Presentation matters. For our Asian-inspired bowl, we're gonna be using some frozen edamame. I love having this in my freezer ready to go because the soybean, which is what the edamame is a great source of protein and fiber. So you have an easy option always on hand. I'm gonna add in about a half a cup, and this is gonna really help us feel full and satisfied. Finally, for our Mediterranean bowl, I'm using canned chickpeas. Again, easy to have on hand so you can add to any dish. It really lends well to the Mediterranean bowl. Again, you can use whatever protein you enjoy, and you could use the same protein in all 3 if you wanted to. I'm also going to be getting some additional protein from my quinoa. Having it both from our protein sources as well as our grains can be a great way to get it at each meal. We're gonna be adding about a half a cup of quinoa to each of these dishes. You can use any grain that you've prepared ahead of time, brown rice, farro, whatever you feel will go with these dishes. Next up, we're gonna add a ton of nutrition and color by adding in our roasted sweet potatoes that we did from our first video. And then I've got my roasted broccoli and peppers. These are gonna be used interchangeably in all these dishes. For my Mexican-inspired Fiesta bowl, I'm gonna be adding in my colorful peppers. Then I'm gonna add in some chopped tomatoes. And then for my Asian-inspired dish, I'm gonna be adding in my broccoli, my peppers, and some shredded carrots. Again, this is completely customizable to your own preference and dietary needs. Finally, we're gonna be doing our Mediterranean bowl, and we're gonna be using some of those prepped veggies that we did from video 1, like our diced cucumber and some extra diced tomatoes here. These are not only adding that color, they're adding such a nutrition boost and additional fiber and water, which helps us feel full and satisfied. Now for my favorite part, adding the flavor. We're gonna do that by making 2 distinct dressings and using something store-bought and ready to go. I'm going to begin my first sauce, which is my creamy peanut dressing. For that, I'm gonna need rice vinegar, soy sauce, some sriracha for some extra kick, but that's optional if you don't like that. Some toasted sesame oil. I'm gonna use a little bit of honey as well. And then the part that makes it creamy is my peanut butter. So I know this looks like a lot of ingredients, so you can always opt for a store-bought option. But I like to at least show how to make these dressings because they really are quite simple once you have the ingredients. So first up in my bowl, I'm gonna do about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce here. And we're just gonna be whisking this together, but you can also use a jar with a lid and shake this up to make sure that it's combined. Next is our sesame oil. Again, we're doing 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. This is so flavorful and really makes it that distinct Asian flavor. Next, I'm gonna use 3 tablespoons of peanut butter. This allows for a really creamy texture my kids love, and it just adds a little decadence to your dish. Next up, we are using our rice vinegar. And for this, again, we're coming back to our 2 tablespoons. This is gonna add that pop of vinegar to this dressing. Finally, we need a little sweetness to balance out all this salt and the vinegar, so we're using some honey. It's about 2 tablespoons, same measurement. Next up is adding sriracha. This is completely optional and based on your own personal preference, but I do like a little kick, so I'm gonna put a nice big squeeze in there. We're just gonna loosen this a little bit with a little bit of water, about 1/4 of a cup. Finally, I'm gonna add in my dried ginger and garlic, about a teaspoon. I love using this dressing, and you can put it in an airtight container and it will stay for a week in the refrigerator. You might just need to whisk or emulsify it again. I'm gonna add this right to my Asian inspired bowl. 2 nice tablespoons here will add tons of flavor and really make this distinct. Now I can bump it up even more and add in some crunch with some peanuts. And if I have cilantro or lime, I can add that too. Next up, we're gonna move to our Mediterranean bowl and we're gonna be making a walnut balsamic vinaigrette without any oil added. It also has walnuts, which are high in omega-3s, which are super great for your heart and your brain. It really goes well with this Mediterranean bowl. Because we're using walnuts, we do need to use our food processor to help emulsify those into a nice smooth consistency. We have about 1/4 of a cup going into our bowl here. Next, about 1/4 of a cup balsamic vinegar. My favorite part about this dressing is it uses raisins as the sweetener. So you get this really deep flavor as well as sweetness by using the raisins. Again, about 1/4 of a cup. So this recipe as well has similar measurements, so it's easy to remember. We're gonna use another 1/4 of a cup of water. This is what's gonna help this mix together and create that consistency of dressing. A little garlic powder, so again, a teaspoon's enough. You could use fresh garlic if you wanted to. I just find sometimes that can be a little too strong of a flavor for especially my kids. Next, Dijon mustard. And this is really that kick of flavor, but also it helps bring the whole dressing together. So we're gonna use 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. You might be thinking these flavors feel a little weird together, but I'm telling you, they come together so nicely and it really has become one of my favorite dressings. See how creamy that comes out? So there you have it. We have our Mediterranean bowl. And if you wanna spice it up a little bit, you can add in a little bit of hummus. You could use capers. We have some olive tapenade. Whatever you have in your fridge, you can really get creative. Maybe some feta cheese. So that's a really great way to make this very distinctly Mediterranean. Next, our easiest dressing, which is our store-bought pico de gallo. You can absolutely make your own at home, but I find this to be a really great shortcut in my kitchen, and we're gonna be adding it to our Mexican fiesta bowl. I'm gonna take 2 heaping tablespoons and put it in there. This just bumps the flavor up automatically. Then you can use something like a lime to add in a little bit more flavor. You can add cilantro or avocado as an easy way to add some healthy fats into this. And again, make this feel filling, satisfying, and decadent. There you have it, 3 very distinct and delicious, nourishing bowls available for you in minutes, any night of the week or even on the weekends. This will be a game changer and will always have nourishing food ready to go.